Okay, so recently I just saw the movie World War Z. Now, basically it starts off with Brad Pitt and as his character, and his wife and his two daughters are, I guess, getting ready for an outing in New York City, and they're stuck in traffic. Surprise for New York City, they're stuck in traffic as like all of a sudden like police start going past and all those things, and it's like he gets out, is like one of them actually runs into the car and knocks off their side side mirror. So Brad gets out and he like looks around, and then one of the police officers, looks like on a bike or a motorcycle, tells him to get back in the car, so he gets back in the car. And it's like he's saying, the police officer outside the car is saying, "Stay in your car, stay in your car, don't come out." And all of a sudden, this truck comes piling past, hitting him and running him over. And then Brad sees this opportunity and starts driving, following the direction of the truck. Now, it's like in the movie, it panned off into the inside of the truck, and it looks like the driver's like tweaking out or whatever. It's like he's going all wild, his body's all beat, for lack of a better word, stuttering. And it's like, it's so weird, and then it crashes, and you just see these people looking like, for me, they look like rats. They just look like rats jumping on people, biting them. And it took like 10, 15 seconds for them to turn. And it's like it's just attacking people throughout all this whole thing. It's like they go into an apartment complex and find refuge with this family. And it's like they wanted to take them with them. It's like Brad has connections to the military. They could get a helicopter out of there. But the family didn't want to go. So they're going, and all of a sudden you see they're going up to the top of the steps. And all of a sudden the son from this family that they just left is running. He's like running for his life. And then when they all get up to the rooftop and are heading towards the helicopter, you see the boy's father like running, and he had turned into one of the zombies. It's like, and previously before that, Brad almost killed himself because he thought that getting the stuff, because he had shot one of them in the head, and he thought getting the stuff in his mouth would have turned him, so he was just making sure in case he turned, he probably would have fallen off of the rooftop. So they make it to this ship, I think, and it's like the only way that they can stay on the ship is if Brad helps out. He needs to find a way to cure all of this, or else his family can't stay on the safety of the ship. They'll end up being like transported out to a place on land where those things are. So Brad agrees, like reluctantly agrees, to leave his family on the ship and goes with a scientist and a few soldiers to go and try to find what's up with this thing that's happening. So they get to another base, and it's like the scientist, the only scientist, mind that, on the entire crew, is like has a gun, but he's like shaking out of his mind because of all the beings, and off of like some noise that the beings had made, I think when they were getting closer, when they were going back onto the ship, like the plane that they came on, the scientist had slipped and shot himself in the head, killing himself. So it was, and I was looking like, what the heck? You shouldn't even had a gun in the first place. I know he needed probably to protect himself, but seriously. He's like, you shoot yourself? The only apparent hope that we had shoots himself. So, and they still go to the base, and it's like they're asking him, like, where's our help? Like, where's the scientist? And Brad's going like, he's dead. I would have been like, this guy, the guy shot himself. Even if it was accidental, you slip and then you shoot yourself. Seriously. It's like, well, anyway. Then it's like Brad basically is like toured around this base. He finds an area where there's like all these burned bodies, One of them's kind of still moving, by the way. And it's basically saying how, I think it was a soldier or something, had gotten infected, and he basically bit everybody that was in the room. So they had to incinerate the entire room. Then Brad meets this prisoner, basically. Mind you, he has no teeth. He took all his teeth out. So he wouldn't end up, if he did turn into one of those things, even if he bit someone, it wouldn't affect them in the least. So basically, kind of give him, that was smart. I kind of give him props for that. But it was still kind of gross. And it's like, so Brad, they're all trying to get back to the ship, get back to this plane. So they're riding bikes because it's silent. Like, these things are like any kind of zombie. You make noise, they hear you, they go after you. So they're riding bikes, and Brad had called his wife, but then I guess the phone got dropped. The call got dropped, so he didn't call her again. But this lady is so stupid, doesn't think, and calls him while he's on these little wobbly bikes, trying to get past all these dangerous zombies that are trying to kill him. She calls him, the phone rings, and it attracts all these zombies. And it's like, when he doesn't answer, she just hangs up, goes to sleep, like it was nothing. The lady almost killed him. I know she doesn't realize that, but the guy left specific instructions, wait for my call. He didn't say, oh, you can just call when you feel like it. My life isn't in any danger. Just all of these thousands, millions of zombies trying to kill me that are attracted by sound. But go ahead and call me. It's like, use your head, lady. So I was like, anyway. It's like trying to find a cure. They end up going to India. And they have this giant wall set up, and the things can't get in. It's like, no matter what you do, they can't get in. And it's like, they're thinking, oh, wow, this is awesome. It's impenetrable. It's like amazing. But then all of a sudden, like, through these entrance and exit zones, trying to figure out who's infected and who's not, it's like, people start singing. And you, even using microphones and the speakers all around to amplify it. And I'm looking like, you people are stupid. Don't you know these things are attracted to sound? And it's like, they just made it continuously loud. So these things outside the wall are gonna be attracted to that no matter what. So what I actually find cool, by the way, is when the things basically started piling on top of each other. Just like piling on top of each other like this like growing being to get up top on the top of the wall to get in. It's like, I'm kind of thinking, these things are kind of smarter than the people who are alive, if you think about it. And it's like, for a zombie movie, you guys usually see the zombies who are slow and just walk with the singular motion with their hands out, and it's like are stumpy and everything, and walk like they have a limp. The zombies in this movie like move like their entire being. They kind of fall over each other when they're all in groups, which is often, unlike the movies in The Walking Dead. You see that later. You mostly see them by themselves, or in like maybe 2 to 3 at a time. And it's like they basically move in actually a fluid motion. For zombies, it's a bunch of dead bodies, but they're like moving like they're water. And it's like, and they jump out, which is like, they basically jump a lot, and they actually run. They actually run like actual people. They run. Which is another difference from previous any zombie movies. Zombies don't really run. They'll do like a limp run, that's it. And it's like, I'm not sure, like in The Walking Dead, you've seen like if you take the jaw off and you take the arms off, and it's like, it stops them. From this movie, it's only the teeth that can stop them. And it's like later in the movie, like later on in the movie, it's like Brad Pitt and an Indian female soldier, which I find amazing, who he had in the movie. And when they were in India, she had gotten bitten, so he cuts off her basically from here up, from her wrist to her hand, and cuts that off because she got bitten. Actually, she didn't turn, so basically, it had no time for her to turn. They make it to like the science facility where they believe they'll be able to find a cure. So they go. Mind you, Brad Pitt is like completely knocked out. He's like knocked out because there was a crash. They had been in a plane crash because from some stupid reason, someone on their plane was infected and went on anyway. They felt completely terrible. They went on anyway. And it's like, infected everyone who was in the lower class seats in the back. Completely everyone in that section got infected. Then they started coming in and through the other path. So Brad actually takes a grenade, blows up part of the plane, and just keeps them strapped in. They make it, surprising enough. They're like the only two who survive. Although Brad had a big piece of metal that it stabbed him in his abdomen, I believe. So by the time they get to the science facility, he's all passed out. And he's passed out for a while. I think a couple days. And when the people from the ship that his family's on don't hear from him, they assume he's dead, and they can't keep his family on there anymore. So they evacuate them to basically a camp. And it's like he wakes up, he's in distress, knowing his family was most likely evacuated. So when he like discovers that he's in the test facility, he wants to know what happened. Like, what can we do? And he all of a sudden remembers all the things he's seeing. These things don't harm people who are sick. They go after perfectly healthy people. They don't go after people who are sick. Because if you had looked during the movie, especially if you looked at the Indian part setting of the movie, there's a man an old man, I think he might be blind or something, because the way he's looking around, kind of lost with his hands out. The beings run right past him. They do look at him, but just run right past him, like he's not even there. And it's like, I found that strange. And then it's like, also, when this kid is like, he like goes into a fetal position on the ground, and these things like run past him like a rock in the river and don't even look at him. And at first I was thinking that they just don't harm people who are vulnerable, because an old man and an infectious child. But it turns out that the case, these people were sick. But I guess it couldn't be like the common cold sickness. It had to be sick enough that they wouldn't want to touch them. So Brad knows that this science facility that he's in right now has all these illnesses that he can inject himself with to test this out. But the wing that all these sicknesses are in is completely covered with these things. Because one of the scientists had got it in his bloodstream. He had to cut his finger and it got it in him. And then he turned and started killing everybody else. So basically, Brad and a couple other people have to sneak in and try to get these illnesses. Brad actually makes it into the container case thing that all these sicknesses are in. So he has a choice. Either he gets all these syringes and tubes and everything with these illnesses inside them and decides to take them out. But then when he turns around, on the outside of the door, he sees one of these things. He sees one of the zombies. So he has an ultimatum. He basically has to he either injects himself with this, he basically has to inject himself in the syringe and test out his theory. if it works, he could die from the illness. Because the one he chose, basically, I don't know what it is, they don't say. Because the one he chose could end up killing him in the end. But if it doesn't work, the zombie would kill him. So basically, either way, if it doesn't work, he's gonna die. So he injects himself, and he takes like a leap of faith and walks out. This zombie doesn't even appear to see him. It walked right past him. So it's like, that's amazing in itself. So he's walking with confidence now. He gets a soda. And basically makes the soda machine jump out of the soda, so all these zombies that are blocking his way from the door and running towards the soda machine, they run right past him. One actually even bumped into his shoulder, didn't even act like he saw him. And it was like just walking leisurely, like nothing is happening. And that's what I find amazing. These things are basically literally a virus. Like I said, they won't attack someone who's perfectly they won't attack someone who's sick. So he uses that. And he's finally able to get this to the military. They found this information. So he actually gets cured, thank God, from the illness that he's inside him right now. And like now, it's like people are finally able to fight back. All the soldiers are injected with an illness, so the beings don't attack them. So they're basically defenseless now. It's like it's complete. For my opinion, it's complete amazing. So basically, in the end, he's reunited with his family at the camp they're in. He's basically saying that now humans, living population, can finally fight back. And that's basically where the movie ends. And I give this movie 10, not even 5, 10, because that's how good it was.